Hey everyone, I'm Jody Schwan, publisher of Sioux Falls Business. Welcome to another edition of Talent Thursday. We enjoy these conversations in partnership with the Sioux Falls Development Foundation. We were not with you last week, but for very good reason. So I want to start with my co-host, Denise Gazzetta, who leads talent development and attraction for the Development Foundation, because it was a big day in her world, the annual Wind and Workforce Summit. We've been talking about it on this program with you for the last few weeks, so we want to let you know how it went. I was there. It was really, really well done. Great attendance, hundreds of people. What kind of feedback did you get, Denise?
Oh, the feedback from the speakers has been amazing. I mean, they really enjoyed getting to know their other business counterparts in some of these organizations. The feedback from the students we had that were attending from high school and college is, this is great. We love our community. And it was nice to put them and have them at a seat at the table so they could really see all these wonderful things like the business we have here today, what they're doing for talent. And then of course the topics, always very content rich. So we really knocked it out of the park. And Jody, I just can't thank you enough, because it wouldn't be possible if we didn't have, really great partners helping us to get more people involved, and the excitement that happens when people then say, you know what, we have best practices. We want to make sure that we share those in our great community. So
Yeah, thank you. It was fun to be there. It was fun to talk to everyone. And one of the themes I heard over and over was, we're so glad to realize it's not just us. We're not alone. We're facing similar challenges. We feel like we're getting some ideas and some strategies that we can take back to work. But I do want to touch on the students, because that was really cool. So you guys, normally we go to these business events and I can pretty much predict who's going to be there. And it's great. We love our business community. But it doesn't necessarily include a bunch of 16 to 20-year-olds, which was the crowd, at least part of it at WIN. And it was so fun to see them meeting business leaders, talking about career opportunities, introducing themselves, getting that networking practice, and of course, learning along the way. So I just thought that was a terrific addition to the event. And I love talking to the students myself. So hopefully we'll be connecting with them further. And I know you will, because that's part of a bigger program through the foundation.
absolutely. I mean, we are really aligning those activities in primary, elementary schools, going into the middle schools and going into the high schools, and then finally in the colleges. We're doing really well there. And it's all about, what are we doing to develop the people we have for the businesses and the organizations that are here, right? And especially the businesses that are in the midst of change, like home building. And I know Jesse's going to share some of those changes, but it's really astonishing when you look at the level of learning that's done inside high school today. It's not like when I was in high school 30 years ago. Kids are taking much more comprehensive advanced courses. And so when they're coming out in the industry, they can offer a lot more sooner. And that's exactly the message that our business community needs, is that we have talent that's coming out that can really work with you and your business to solve some of your issues.
I want to introduce our guest today, Jesse Deffenbaugh, operations manager of a fantastic family-owned local residential building company, Deffenbaugh Homes. Jesse, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
So I understand that you also, to keep it on theme here, have had some recent experience with the emerging workforce and with students. And I know your company's in regular communication and creating that talent pipeline. But talk to me about what that's been like for you of late.
Yeah, so I've had a lot of involvement with the Home Builders Association and looking at efforts that we have to work on improving workforce. It's a very major issue, really in all industries right now. So how do people in the construction industry continue to help bring people to that industry? We've done a lot of work with CTE, with programs through Southeast Tech and Mitchell Tech. And through it kind of got brought up with the home builders renewing a partnership with the Sioux Falls Foundation. It was, why aren't we utilizing the efforts that are already in place to help connect some dots? And so much of what I see right now, the issue with workforce development problems, is that we're just not connecting dots. There's kids that are interested. That we had 3 different tours yesterday through a project we're working on. That actually is a very unique experience that the kids got to see. beautiful home that we're working on right in the middle stages of the project, right before drywall. So you can see all the steps that go into these projects. And just like Denise was alluding to, we get the opportunity to do beautiful homes. A lot of people have seen finished products on home tours and things like that, but there's really, there's probably 1,000 different employees that were directly related to producing something on that project. So it's not one person that's producing these houses in a matter of a year. It's multiple people, a teamwork effort. And if you're someone who's interested in, there's a kid that was on the tour yesterday. He wanted to do fiber optic cabling.
I love that.
Great. That's great that he found a
Right.
passion that he wants to go into. And this kid was 17 years old. So
Awesome.
like we need to salute kids like that where they want to go into what they're interested in. And one other conversation got brought up where Terry Schulte does a good job of getting kids starting into their business as being detailers and working their way up to the system. And one thing that Terry brought up is says, do what you love. If you don't love what you're doing, it's just really not going to work out for you in the long run.
Right, right. Fiber optic cables, sign them up. It's
That's
good.
right.
We got a role for you.
And it was fiber optic cables, but Jesse, so much technology that's going into these homes. It was so incredibly cool. I mean, you walk in and he's showing how the whole thing is going to be designed through his phone. And
Yeah,
that's
it's incredible. Like, so like we design these homes in 3D before we get started. We take those 3D models to a total station, and we talked about, I showed him pictures on this when it was a piece of dirt when we got started, where our window view of the home was going to be based off of 2 points in the back of the house. Well, those points get shot on a piece of robotic equipment that tells us where we're going to put this house. And then from there, it's all developed. Like we use a construction management software that helps us manage our business, our employees, our schedules, photos. I mean, everyone carries an iPhone today. That's just as important tool in your bag as a tape measure or hammer these days. So people who embrace change and technology and how we're going to build tomorrow are going to be the businesses that advance. And those are the people who I really feel like you're going to attract this next pool of kids where, hey, this kid might not know how to do a compound miter on a piece of crown molding, but guess what? He maybe can teach that 50-year-old worker some of these tools where the technology piece may be a weakness. So that's, to me, we use that a lot internally for bridging the gap and kind of creating that journeyman apprentice type role. So just getting kids engaged, realizing that they might be starting off pushing a broom, but that doesn't mean that you can't bring more to the table than just the guy pushing a broom, swinging a hammer. There's needs throughout. And the more value you bring to the business and the organization, the more valuable you are as an employee.
How has your world been this year, Jesse? I have not caught up with you and your team lately, but I imagine you're always busy no matter what the market. So what's demand been like? What's the pipeline looking like here heading into next year?
Supplies continue to be a challenge. Everyone asks, do you see prices going down? The answer is no. It's in the reality kind of for everybody, just watching supply chains. Lead times that used to be 4 to 6 weeks are now double and 3 times that. So really, you just have to be watching it with how you're procuring materials, how you're planning for those things. And the planning part of our business has become almost just so pivotal on getting anything done that what used to be decisions you can make and go down to the lumberyard and pick up supplies, you're having to decide those things before you even start a project. So it's really just a change of how you run and operate your business. The companies who are adapting to that and making the necessary changes, they're going to do just fine. It's just the people that you run your business with what's in stock and how you're going to do it. It's just not going to work very well anymore.
And yet people still want to keep building homes, don't they?
Yeah, I mean the supply shortage of homes and lots and inventory is just so low that it just keeps the demand up. We're working on our next development project, and our main reason is if we've got a client who walks in the door tomorrow and says, "I want to build a nice home," Currently, I don't have a build ready lot that's really meriting any home of decent size and stature. So that's what we're being proactive with, is making sure that we are able to kind of create some of our supply to do our projects and related projects. So we just always have to be watching out for that, and try to always be looking at 1 to 2 years ahead, which in some cases is a little risky and just feels a little, you're putting yourself out there, but I feel very confident in our Sioux Falls market, and just overall that it gives me a lot of confidence to go to be bold, to have a little more risk here and just be confident in what we're doing in our product, and just good things will happen.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the development side, because to circle back on workforce, I think maybe there's a perception of what those jobs look like with a home building company. And, there is some of that obviously with Deffenbaugh, but if you work for this company, you're going to be exposed to land development now. You're going to be exposed to design. You're going to be exposed to technology. I mean, I feel like you have very multifaceted roles now where, even if we look back a few years, maybe not necessarily the case.
Yeah, today, for instance, we're doing earthwork stabilization on a hillside that we're working with a long stick excavator, that we're reviewing that, even things from a labor perspective. And our guys get exposed to this, like how to install silt fence, how to properly do stormwater management. And the great part about our business is we look at how many things we're involved with. You talk about job security, like we're busy with different parts of the construction process, from raw dirt to maintenance and warranty on a home that we did 10 years ago. So we try to do a good job of pointing people in their best interests and skill set so they can be successful. But that doesn't mean that when I get a conversation with someone, hey, I really want to be involved more on that front end of a project of getting silt fence in place, getting this established, working with our excavation crews so that they can do what needs to be done to get the land ready to build the houses we're building.
What could you, probably everyone, right? But when you look across the board company-wide, what positions do you maybe have open, or do you anticipate needing? What kind of opportunities do you think you'll have within your company here in the next, say, year or so?
Really across the board. We're looking at going into next year with a very similar volume of workload that we've had, which we run light, we run lean. Me still being one of the owners in the business, I'm swinging a hammer every now and then. But a lot of it's what's my number one priority this week. If it's getting jobs going before winter kicks in, which that's been my focus right now, and getting land development deals finalized so we can get started. Then we go into the winter months. We've got 5 or 6 remodel projects that we'll be working on. So it's really across the board, but we've done a lot better job of understanding with our volume of work what that means to internal workforce. So we've done a good job of dialing in of we're at this much volume of work, what that means for management, to carpenters, to laborers, so that when we tell somebody we're ready to get started with a job in February and it's going to take 6 months, we're identifying how many guys it's going to take and how that fits into our schedule.
And that's exactly, so it's one of the things that I saw. So yesterday, I thought our discussion with these wonderful high schoolers, a lot of it was supply chain management. We're talking about how do you invest as an organization in technologies that's going to make you independent, and so you can basically have that autonomy to continually build. I mean, really, that's the only challenge right now that you're facing, is you're waiting on a lot of materials from suppliers, which is, you could probably increase threefold your business, given the fact that if some of those pieces were more readily at hand. And that's what the kids, when they start thinking about their own desires to own their business and things that they have sort of a natural interest in. And I think about welding and how, when I was visiting our great technical college, Southeast Technical College, a few weeks ago, and they were showing me these designs, okay? They're artistic pieces, and that's exactly where you could take that skill and turn it into so many different avenues. But I saw a lot of that yesterday, a lot of possibilities with these kids for them to learn a business, be involved in a business, get skills, get experience, and then maybe as a supplier and a business partner to this wonderful organization that we have here today, right? So
Yeah, absolutely, Denise.
I wanted to talk just a little bit, we reach a lot of people who are considering moving to Sioux Falls. Denise and I were just discussing this. So I know the out of state influx is a real thing. And we have people in Sioux Falls who are outgrowing their own homes. Do you have any advice as a home builder if people are watching this and wanting to relocate? I mean, if I'm looking at doing a home building project with Deffenbaugh, how far out are you guys? What should I be planning
boy.
on?
the houses are beautiful, by the way.
They
So
are. I mean, it's worth the wait,
know.
but I'm just saying, like, you got to be patient.
Yeah, we're so right now we're looking at our build schedule for next year, and we've got 3 commits, and we'd like to be on a 7 start year next year. So we're looking for 4 new starts. This development we're working on is 160 lots. So, and we wouldn't build all the homes on this, but so I really feel like we're gonna be setting ourselves up to be in a good position to being full with our start dates, and being much more thoughtful with how we run our schedules and how we run our projects. And that's the only way we're going to get these jobs done. To Denise's point, it doesn't make sense for us to start 3 projects in the spring of next year and drag them out over a year and a half. So we're being very mindful to complete projects in a timely fashion in that 8 to 12 months. And so it's on a twofold basis. If we're on a plug for Sioux Falls and Deffenbaugh Homes Sioux Falls is still a great city. We're at 200,000 people now. We've got a lot of really great things going on for us. And I mean, I lived in Denver for 7 years, and my mom still lives there. I'm back there 4 weeks ago, and I'm like, Sioux Falls is. I never would have said this, but I'd actually want to stay here forever now. And I mean, that's a pretty good plug for Sioux Falls if Jesse doesn't want to go back to Denver. So keep it up, Sioux Falls.
What is it about the community that makes you say that?
I mean, it's clean, it's friendly. If like little things have happened, like I remember one of our guys stopped to help a guy out who was on the road at a flat tire, and just little things like that sent a thank you back. And like some of just the basic, just good people things you don't see in bigger cities. Or you look at just some of the philanthropy acts that happen here. I feel like life is fast paced. It's always busy. But I feel like in Sioux Falls, people actually take a little bit of time and say, hey, you know what? Like, let's stop for a second and let's do something for a good cause. Let's help somebody out. Whereas you go at a lot of other places, they just don't care about that. And so just be a good person. Take care of your neighbor. Take care of yourself. And I think we're doing a really good job at that right now.
No, that's great to hear.
It definitely is. I mean, Jody, we talk about this. We're from other areas, and I loved it. Yesterday, when I was at that home site, Jesse, I felt like I was back in Virginia almost, because you had the rolling hills. So to me, there's so much to this great community that we live in, and we just don't, we're not as bold as we should be. We're starting to get a little bit more, I think, outspoken and make sure that we're carrying that, because when you talk about people that are genuine, they are genuine. We talk about the investments that we're making in our school systems, they happen. You talk about people that come together for business, and we saw this at Win, where they're sharing all this information. They're doing it so that we all win. And so that's the kind of stuff that you have here. And it's very, it's just natural. It's a natural, very progressive evolution where you have an ecosystem that supports each other, and it's wonderful. So
before I let you go, what part of town is your new development in? If people are kind of wondering when those new lots might be around.
It's on the east side of Sioux Falls, just like a mile and a half east of Highway 11, directly north of Arbor's Edge, kind of where our last development is.
Okay, yep, I'm familiar with that one. So very pretty part of town, nice views up there.
Yep, we're excited. It's taken a long time to come to fruition. It's challenging, but that's what we do. We like challenge, we like natural beauty, and just it's one of those projects where it's just our duty to not mess up the natural lay of the land.
Nice. Denise, any closing thoughts about your takeaways from Jesse and his company?
My takeaways is you get people that can explore this firsthand, and they're just amazed. I grew up with a father that owned a construction company, and I thought, oh, I understand all the makings, and my brothers are still gainfully employed, but there's so much in the last few years, and we were talking about that, from the material side to, the energy, making sure that you're bringing those supply chain pieces back in, and the cost is going down. So to me, it was just a win-win yesterday, and I know that the kids really appreciate it. So
excellent. Well, you are always busy, Jesse, and I know this time of year, especially so, trying to get things done before the weather no longer cooperates. So we want to thank you for being with us today. If people want to learn more about Deffenbaugh Homes, where should we send them?
They can go on our website, deffenbaughhomes.com. There's a contact us page in there. It all gets filtered through to their office. info@deffenbaughhomes.com is our email. And our number is 605-359-2490. But yeah, feel free, if you're someone who is eager to look at the construction industry, or if you're a student that, hey, I like what you guys do, how can I be a part of it? I'm all about giving anyone a chance, and that's the best part of it. Just have a good attitude, have a willingness to learn, and you can do anything. If that's come to work for us, if that's go to be a heart surgeon, just have a drive and go execute.
That's great. Okay, so yep, reach out if you want to learn more about the company, about the industry. That's a great opportunity. Thanks again, Jesse, for joining us. Thanks, Denise, for organizing, and thank you for watching. So come back next Thursday, same time, same place, for another edition of Talent Thursday. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. Thanks for watching.
bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse.